We want to turn now to our CBS News investigative producer, Kathleen Johnson, who has some new details about the investigation. Kathleen, what can you tell us?
Well, I think they're all going on the assumption now that this is a hoax, that New York has called it as it is. You're seeing some bicoastal pushback here from L.A., who didn't like the fact that New York came out and said, we got the same letter, it was the same email, it was a hoax. And it'll have to play out now. I don't see how they can investigate all these schools in one day. It's just every nook and cranny, every backpack, every locker, every closet. It's going to take a lot of resources.
Kathleen, why do you think, I mean, it's interesting that the New York City mayor and the New York City police commissioner would make these comments in the wake of this investigation that was going on in Los Angeles, where they made this decision to close these schools down. And I know that Commissioner Bratton has been very forceful about the need to stay vigilant, but also for the need to not overreact in situations. We are always going to be under threat from our enemies, and the key is to remain calm and to take threats as they are deemed credible seriously, and those that are not deemed credible to investigate them as hoaxes, as New York City is doing. So it is kind of interesting that New York City officials would be making or delivering these comments during what was happening in L.A.
Yeah, you're exactly right. What the public is seeing is what usually just happens beyond closed doors, right, or closed phone conversations between these two chiefs. And but imagine this. I mean, this decision by L.A. School District has huge ramifications now throughout the country. Every threat, every email, any kind of thing is going to trigger, this kind of investigation where we have to close an entire school system. So I think that's why probably, I'm not in the head of Mr. Bratton, but certainly he has real concerns, as I'm sure there are many law enforcement officials and in the FBI and elsewhere that have huge concerns about the way L.A. reacted to this hoax, what appears to be a hoax. I mean, clearly we have to let it play out and let them do the investigation. But I think given that press conference, you saw the distancing by even the chiefs and the mayor. We support the school superintendent, but it was his decision. And I think the concern is more what's happening in the future when we get more and more of these threats.
Kathleen, let me just ask you a little bit about this threat. I know you've been talking to your law enforcement sources throughout the day since this story first broke, but we heard from the L.A. police chief there, Charlie Beck, who said that to their eyes, this was a specific threat that talked about assault rifles, that talked about explosive devices. He also mentioned that this email was routed through Germany, but the origin is yet to be determined. They think it was much closer than that, was the original, where the email originated from. What is it that law enforcement sources have said to you about what they understand regarding the nature of this threat?
Well, all the law enforcement sources I've talked to believe it's a hoax, but they're also very sympathetic to L.A. I mean, look what's happened in California in the last, week and a half or so. We have the whole San Bernardino incident. It's playing out even today, investigation. So they're very sympathetic, and they don't want to, call it what it is, but, I mean, right until the groups have a chance to do their investigation. But spellings in the email, reference to Allah, that wasn't quite the way it usually comes over. You have to understand that globally, ISIS has 40,000, puts out at least 40,000 to 45,000 threats a day. And these are the ones that law enforcement can see. And they're global, and they reach everywhere. And go into, basically they say attack anything, anytime, anywhere. And these are the ones they see. These are not the ones that are encrypted and go dark. So the concern among law enforcement with what L.A. did today is if we act on every single one of these threats, will we paralyze this nation? And I think that's what you're seeing played out between the two sides of the country here.
Kathleen, thank you very, very much for your reporting. Really fascinating. I didn't know that there were 45,000 threats that are tracked every day that ISIS delivers. That is astounding.